Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your Saturday is starting off well. It is March the 16th, 2024, and we are live here for the Minnesota Real Estate Show every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. This is a show hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wohlmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill, of the Minnesota Real Estate Team and REMAX Advantage Plus. Hope your weekend is starting off well. Tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day, March the 17th. We're going to be celebrating, having a little fun for St. Patrick's Day. And Brad Sanford, Farmers Insurance, in studio with us today. And of course, we've got Scott Wohlmering as well, too.
Hey, guys.
We got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, a lot going on in the real estate world, the big NAR settlement that came out yesterday. So we've had a number of questions about that. We'll be talking about that. We welcome your questions, comments, thoughts throughout the show. Again, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. here on WCCO. And it is an interactive show. So if you think of something, you have a question, please don't hesitate to interrupt. Scott, I like your glasses, bud. Those are cool.
Thanks. Older I get, well, I've always had to wear them, but I just never did. Last 6 months, I can't see anything. So I am. Yeah, welcome to the show. We are going to be going live here in about a minute. And like Ryan said, we're going to talk about everything we normally do. So we're going to give you a market update in the first section. We are going to talk a lot today about the lawsuit that's been out there for years and years and years, and now it's come to fruition. So what does that mean to the zillion calls that we've all gotten about what that means to real estate agents, what's it mean to sellers, what's it mean to buyers? So please send in your questions to us. We'll make sure we cover them through the show. We've got some pre-made, I think, that are the main ones. But by all means, send them in so we make sure we get it covered.
Here we go. And we're going live on air right now.
Are you going to use your Irish voice?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Top of the morning to you.
Again, thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're on WCCO 830. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us. It is March the 16th, 2024, and we are live here at News Talk 830 WCCO every Saturday morning for the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wohlmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill, of the Minnesota Real Estate Team and REMAX Advantage Plus. I hope your weekend is starting off well, and we've got St. Patrick's Day tomorrow, too, the 17th. Happy early St. Patrick's Day. Scott, good to see you there, young man.
Yeah, good to be here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like Ryan said, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We've been doing the show for about 17 years. If this is the first time you're catching it, I appreciate it. If you're coming back, welcome back. A lot of stuff to cover. There's a major lawsuit that was settled with the National Association of Realtors having to do with the effect on buyer's commission, how commissions are split, how agents are going to get paid. A lot of stuff we're going to unravel. I'm sure you've seen it. It's national news. We're going to get into that after the break. So by all means, text us in your questions, 612-294-6949, or call us at that number if you want to go live on air. And we will do that. We like to put a fun question out every week. So
yeah, what do you got, man? So something fun is always good.
We love fun questions. So the fun question this week is, what is, to the people that really know you, your most annoying characteristic? So what is it that the people really know you, really love you, is your most annoying characteristic? You've heard it over and over again. So think about it. What is it? I've got mine. It's easy. It's come up with both my ex-wives, but everybody's got one. So think about that.
A little self-reflection.
Little self-reflection, yes.
A little self-reflection. Hey, we appreciate you joining us here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Again, we are a local real estate team. We help people buy homes, sell homes, invest in real estate, really all throughout Minnesota and Western Wisconsin. And the first segment, what we always like to do is a little bit of a real estate update and a mortgage update, specifically talking about the inventory of homes for sale in the Twin Cities and the activity, what's going on from an activity standpoint. So Scott, this past week, new listings, so new homes for sale in the Twin Cities was up again, good news. 1,196 new homes. That was up 2.5% year over year. Pending sales or accepted purchase agreements up 10%. There were 845 accepted purchase agreements. Also good news to hear. And then the inventory is up 11%, actually almost 12% year over year. Still very low, under 7,000 homes for sale, but more inventory, Scott. It's good to see after last year was across the U.S. Transaction volume down considerably. Good to see a little bit more mojo, Scott, a little bit more transaction activity.
Yeah, we're definitely feeling it. There is definitely a palpable difference, though, and everybody needs to understand that win rates were at 2.8%, 3%, et cetera. Everybody was rushing to the finish line. You were going out kind of losing your mind a little bit, writing huge offers over to get a house. When we went to 8%, it kind of shut down. Now I think we're back at like 6 3/4, right around that. And so there is some life in the market, but make no mistake about it. Pricing in this market, I think, is the most important time I've ever seen it. I've been licensed for 25 years, where if you are pushing that number a little bit, you will sit. Where the beginning of 2022, it didn't make a difference. You weren't going to sit. Right now, you will. So if you are, if you're pushing that number,
at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Again, 612-294-6949. Anytime throughout the show. We've got Brad Sanford, Farmers Insurance, who is with us today. Brad, good to see you, buddy.
It is nice to be here. I got some industry information. We got our homeowners quiz. So we got a few things we can go through.
Yeah, great stuff as always. We're already up against our first break. After the break, we're gonna dive in a little bit as well with Brad, but also talk about the NAR settlement, the specifics of it, and maybe how that will impact buyers, sellers, real estate agents, and brokers moving forward. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show again, 612-294-6949. We'll be back after the break. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Sorry, Mike was off there just for a little bit. But Brad, good to see you there as always.
Nice to be here. The real estate industry kind of feels like the stock market, doesn't it? You got that one stock you're following and the price rises, but then it drops. People get in to buy it, right? Because they don't want the fear of missing out.
Right.
And then it rises again. That's kind of what it feels like right now. Is that kind of appropriate?
Well, it is. And whenever I hear stocks, it's an analogy I use a lot with sellers, because when you have a seller that is in a kind of a cookie cutter house, it's 1,000 footprint 2-story in the same neighborhood as 5 other sales that are 1,000 footprint 2-story, and they all sold for $400,000 to $405,000, and they believe that their house is worth $500,000. And you, a lot of times you have to have that discussion based on stocks. Well, if McDonald's stock is at $100, why would somebody buy your stock for $150? And it's the same thing. If it's the same stock, and it just gets people to understand that it's not a wishy-washy, hey, we don't know what your home's worth. Your home is worth this, which within a percent.
Yeah, we did have, before we dive into the NAR stuff, did have a question again about FHA, VA. Had a similar one last week. I think Mike had said he's not seeing a lot of, especially that 450 and under, not a lot of those being accepted right now. As a result, the cash offer program that I know he and his company offer has been really effective. Scott, a lot of cash offers in those lower price points.
Yeah, there is. I hate to say this, but when Mike was on, I don't think there has been one FHA in the last 30 days, I think is what it was, or 40 days, something like that. And this is going to sound really, really harsh, but if you are a FHA or a VA buyer, and you're in that price range of under $450,000, like Ryan said, I hate to tell you, you're not going to be able to buy a house in this market, not in the spring market. And so the cash offer it's a great program. It's a point or point and a half.
Sure.
So, whatever it is, let's say it costs you 10 grand. It's a heck of a lot less than you're going to have to pay for a house to have them even look at an FHA offer, and they're not going to look at it. Doesn't matter if you're 20 grand over. They're not going to look at your offer.
Yeah. So again, there's different options out there. So as buyers, there's ways for you to still obviously get a house. Just be sure you're working with your agent. Plug in with him or her and explore options. Plug in with your loan officer to be sure you're looking at what are the alternatives for that. Because Brad, sometimes you just have to react. If you've lost 2, 3, 4 offers, you got to react and say, what can we do to get a deal done?
Yeah, that's amazing. What is the thought behind it? Why we wouldn't accept a FHA or a VA?
So if I'm a listing agent, I have 25 offers, and I have 5 cash offers, 10 20% down offers, 4 VA offers, and 5 FHAs. Because there's an issue with appraisal on VA and FHA, I'm going to look at my cash offers and my 20% down. I'm not going to even look at FHA because there's too much hair on the dog there. These are cleaner offers. There's not going to be any issues for my seller. So FHAs and VAs, unfortunately, in a market like this, they get tossed out
because of that appraisal.
Because of the appraisal.
So in other words, an appraisal. So in other words, if that appraise is low, the purchase agreement gives the buyer the ability to back out of the deal, essentially. And so for a seller, that creates some uncertainty, so you can't move forward.
Aren't most, I might not know anything here, but FHA, aren't they most first-time home buyers? So we're taking the house away from a first-time home buyer and giving it to the second-time
or
buyer?
third or fourth, or cash. Yeah, it is. It's not fun. And the only reason I was so harsh in saying that is because don't spend half of your summer with an agent that maybe doesn't have, the experience that's letting you do it, because it's just going to be miserable.
Here we go. We're going back live on air on CCO.
Interesting.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Top of the morning to you here. We got St. Patrick's Day coming tomorrow. And as a good Irishman, as an O'Neill, I certainly wish you and your family a very happy St. Patrick's Day. Everybody's a little bit Irish tomorrow, Scott.
I'll tell you what, Brad and I are sitting here. That sounded like an Irishman from North Dakota. that was a deep Minnesota Irish accent.
It was a little bit Irish, but hey, everybody's Irish tomorrow. You got to have a little fun. My dear mother-in-law Sue is she invited me over for some corned beef and cabbage. Very kind. Got to call Mom. Mom, you got to come up and join us tomorrow too. It's going to be a lot of fun. But hey, guys, we do need to obviously dive in here. The big news yesterday that came out is the National Association of Realtors. There was the settlement, the legal settlement. Essentially, the National Association of Realtors reaches an agreement to resolve the nationwide claims brought by home sellers. The settlement, which it is still subject to court approval, there's a few important things. They said it makes clear that NAR, National Association of Realtors, continues to deny any wrongdoing in connection with the multiple listing service, the cooperative compensation model rule that was introduced in the 1990s. Essentially, there's a couple main things, Scott, that are part of this. The first is NAR has agreed to put in place a new MLS rule. So again, MLS is something that we as agents and brokers pay for with our real estate license. But through MLS, there is now going to be a rule prohibiting offers of broker compensation on the MLS. So in other words, right now we can go on there. It will show, okay, Edina Realty has the property listed. They're going to pay our brokerage, RE/MAX Advantage Plus, 2.5% or 2.7%. That is listed on there right now. And so that with this agreement, it says this would mean that offers of broker compensation could not be communicated via the MLS, but they could continue to be an option consumers can pursue off MLS through negotiation and consultation with real estate professionals. I'm just going to continue here, just reading this, but it says offers of compensation, NAR said, help make professional representation more accessible. They decrease cost for home buyers to help secure these services, increase fair housing opportunities for first-time home buyers, et cetera, and increase the potential buyer pool for sellers. That's the first item. The second one, before we have our discussion, is NAR has agreed to enact a new rule that would require MLS participants working with buyers to enter a written agreement with their buyers. NAR continues, as it has done for years, to encourage its members, that's us, the agents, the brokers, to use buyer agreements that help consumers understand exactly what services and value will be provided and for how much. These changes will go into effect in mid-July. So right now, it is business as usual for agents, brokers, people buying and selling homes. There is no immediate difference this weekend. There's no immediate difference next month. If this is approved through the court, through the judge, they're saying, Scott, that this will go into effect in mid-July 2024. A lot of information we just threw at you and a lot to talk about, a lot of questions.
Yeah, so here's what's been going on forever since the 90s. If I list your house for 6% and I'm with RE/MAX Advantage Plus, you're paying RE/MAX Advantage Plus a 6% listing or a 6% commission. So when I sit down with you as a seller and I go through your net sheet, you know that when you sell your house, you're paying 6%, and this is what your net sheet's going to be. So no matter who buys your house, that doesn't change. Doesn't matter if I sell it to one of my buyers, I sell it to somebody that calls in off of one of my signs, or a participating broker or agent with Edina Realty sells it, the seller's paying 6%. So nothing has changed. We've always had the division of buyer side and listing side. Many times I would have discussions with my seller. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, my side is 3.3%, and we're going to agree to pay 2.7% to a cooperating broker if they're there, and that's your 6%. Well, Scott, I don't want to pay 6%. Can we pay the buyer side less? Of course we can. You want to pay 2%? Yes. Well, let me explain to you what that means. If you're paying 2%, and most agents that make a living are used to getting 2.7%, it's going to drop the volume on your house considerably, and you're going to get more. It's the same discussion we're going to have now. There will be such an uproar when you tell a seller, no, you can't get more for your house because you can't have an agent being represented on the other side. That's crazy. And then the thought is, well, the buyer can pay their agent. In a time where people are squeaking into homes with very little money out of their pocket, no buyer is going to pay an agent $12,000 to represent them.
Yeah.
So then think of the chaos. Think of the lawsuits that can happen. I bought a house, I paid too much. The agent said he represented, but he doesn't really. He represented the seller. I couldn't have somebody represent me because I can't afford to do it. This is every time somebody puts their finger in the free market, this is the garbage that happens. Everything you read about what the NRI thinks this is going to do for sellers, it's the complete opposite. They're going to get less for their house. They're going to get less of buyer pool. Go ahead, Brad. I'm rambling.
What did the seller think the other realtor was walking around that house with the buyers for? Just to be there? Just to say hi?
No,
Did they
it's
not think that they were going to get paid on the transaction?
it's like anything else, and Ryan's not going to like this, but it's a garbage lawsuit. It's a lawsuit that they saw an opportunity. And when I first read it, Ryan remembers this, whatever it was, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I said they're going to win this because yes, if you look at it from an outside, not understanding how it's been forever, you could say, well, my gosh, I could get a lower commission. Well, of course you could. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple thoughts. Again, a couple thoughts to share. And again, feel free to join the discussion here, either on social media or 612-294-6949. I think the first question that came in is regarding a lot of minimum down buyers, a lot of first-time home buyers. And again, the thought is now with a buyer-broker agreement, where if you as the agent, as the broker, are talking to that first time home buyer and asking them to pay you, again, to Scott's point, are they going to have the funds to be able to do that? And do we as an industry want to have a lot of unrepresented first time home buyers who don't understand the purchase agreement, who don't understand the real estate transaction, who don't understand pricing? Am I getting a fair price on the home? And so I think one of the things, and I know I'm always kind of a sunshine guy, but I think this will give us an opportunity as an industry to really explain our value as a buyer's agent, as a buyer's broker, and a professional to help you understand what you're really doing for that agent through the process, Scott. And I just think, again, free markets, I am a believer that free markets have a funny way of working themselves out. I don't think this is going to be any different at all. I think, there's a lot of uncertainty. And I was talking to a friend who said, why didn't NAR have a roadmap for this? They just said, this is what's going to happen. And it is unfortunate that there was not more of a direct roadmap that says, okay, we're no longer going to do this, but here is how things are going to move forward. Right now, there is a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of unrest. There's a lot of unease. Are people going to leave the industry? Are agents going to make half as much as what they used to made? Scott, there's just a lot of uncertainty right now.
And it's all going to settle in. I'll give you a scenario. And why free markets take care of themselves? Because the market will dictate what goes on. The first time a seller puts their home on the market and sells it for $40,000 less than their neighbors did, because it's such a disaster and they net less, they're going to be, what do you mean I can't pay out a buyer's agent so that I get somebody on this other side that knows what they're doing and I make more money on my house? That's one side of it. Think about this. I had 45 offers on a house last year. 45. Could you imagine 45 unrepresented buyers that have never filled out a purchase agreement before, trying to fill out a purchase agreement to present to so the market will dictate it. The buyers are going to be like, this is crazy. The sellers are going to say, I want to be able to pay out an agent so I can get more for my house. And it will correct itself.
Yeah, I think, I've seen a lot of talk to, maybe before the break, we can hit this, or after the break, we can hit it. I've heard a lot of talk about prices falling as a result of this too. And again, from doing this show for almost 20 years, pricing is about supply and demand. And we have such a historically low number of homes for sale in the Twin Cities, and such strong demand that, I just think that there is this uncertainty, there is this unknown, but with so much demand right now, I don't see some magical, hey, prices are going to drop, and all these buyers are going to get now a wonderful deal on things, Scott.
Well, yeah. And, money always comes from somewhere. So let's say this sticks and you cannot represent a buyer. And so what's going to happen is when we say prices could fall, or they're saying it, here's why I think they could. Okay. So the buyer's agent is going to have to make a living, and the buyer wants to be represented. They don't have the money to pay the buyer's agent. So a year ago, you would have got $450 for your house. Now, a bank's not going to lend on the $450 anymore. They'll lend on $435. So you're going to get 435. Somehow it's going to be in there. The fee is going to be in there for the buyer's agent. And it's the same thing. When the attorneys look at this, they're going to find a way that buyers can still be represented, because that's crazy, and that sellers can still sell their house the way they want to sell it. I mean, that's what a free market does.
Yeah, and again, I know we're up against the break. Just remember, again, with this lawsuit, again, both buyers and sellers can be fully represented. And essentially what's happening is they're removing that compensation off the MLS. Sellers can still pay a cooperating agent and broker. Buyers can still pay to be represented as well. We've got a lot of questions coming in, understandably. Brad, what do you think about this? You're already
As a layman, the contract is between the seller and the listing agent.
Well, you would think so.
Why are we involving the other? I'm sorry. If you can explain that to me, I probably would understand, but it seems like it's
after the break.
okay.
Yeah, halfway point already. Thanks for joining us, everybody. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us throughout the show. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show.
So let me articulate that better.
Really.
The agreement is between the seller and the listing agent, and now we want the buying agent to have a say in your agreement with the seller.
No, so the way this came out, and you're correct. So the
Well,
contract.
you said no, but then you said I'm correct.
Well, part of it's correct and part of it's not. So yeah, the listing commission is with the seller, and then we agree as a cooperating industry to pay out on the other side. So that's where it's typically a 55-45 split. 55 to the listing side, 45%. So if it's a 7% listing, it's 4.3 to 3.15, et cetera. And so what sellers got together and said, it's really hurting me to negotiate my commission because I didn't know I had to pay out this. I didn't know I had to pay for this other representation when they're not my client.
Sure.
Well, of course, everybody always knew that. So it wasn't that people didn't know it. They saw it as an opportunity and they won. And we knew they were going to, because yes, if you looked at it, you would say yes. But the reality is, that discussion we've had for years and years and years. I list your house for 6%. Why are we paying out 2.7? Well, we don't have to. We could pay out less, but here's how it'll affect you, Mr. Seller. Well, I don't want it to affect me that way. I've gone up to, and Ryan knows this, I've gone up to 4% buyer payouts.
Yeah.
4% buyer payouts. Why do I want to pay a buyer's agent more? No, I want to get more for the house that no one would touch.
So
hey, hold on, guys. Sorry.
That's right.
You're welcome. You're welcome to join us at any point with the discussion. Feel free to comment if you've got a specific thought, specific feeling, specific theory on what you think is going to happen. Again, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. I am a strong believer that the free markets will correct this situation, and it gives an opportunity for really good agents, brokers, to provide good buyer broker representation to their customers. It's important. I think it's more important than ever to have a really good agent on the buyer side, and for people to leave a lot of people out in the dark that they can't afford an agent going to sellers would not be a good thing at all, because again, they're going to the listing agent who represents the seller and the seller's best interest, Scott.
That's right. And the reality is, and this is just a straight reality, even if a buyer could afford it, they're not going to write a check. And I'm talking generalities. Are there people that will do it? Sure. But in generalities, a buyer is not going to write a check for $25,000 to a buyer's agent to represent them on the purchase, which I wouldn't do. And so then you're just leaving yourself vulnerable to going in blind, writing this thing. And that's the part of the free market that will correct it. It won't sustain itself. It's not a way to go, and it'll get figured out. It will.
I think Ryan is right here, the free market, because if you think about it, you have a listing and it's been on there for 220 days. The buyer representation is going to say, no, I want 65% because you can't sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's going to figure itself out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The other thing too that we'll talk about is with this sort of the advent of discounters. In our industry over 20 years, we've had a lot of different types of discounters, whether it's a listing company that does more of kind of a flat fee or for sale by owner. And what happens with those companies, because I've had a couple friends who have owned those and run those, is they Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. And a lot going on. We got a lot to talk about. We've got lawsuits, we've got settlements, all types of different things going on here. Scott, you got something there for me, bud?
Just actually, am I on? Yeah, just a open house that Agent Ryan's team, the Minnesota real estate team, Tracy Knutson has tomorrow, Sunday, from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And if I put my glasses on, I can read this. It is at 2900 Independence Avenue South in St. Louis Park. And again, Tracy will be there tomorrow from 11 o'clock to 12:30, actually, at 11 o'clock to 12:30 tomorrow. It looks like a really cute little rambler in St. Louis Park.
Yeah, one other quick thought I wanted to mention about the lawsuit again is there's some talk with agents that again this will affect the commission amount that agents will be making, specifically on a buyer's side. And in other words, that hey, we're going to be making half as much, or maybe companies will come out that they're a flat fee company or a discounting company. Over the years from doing this job, I've had a couple friends who have owned discount real estate companies. And the interesting thing is oftentimes they will do that for 6 months, for a year and a half. And then through running their business, what they find is by the significant discount, they're not able to run a viable business. And so I think that's the interesting thing. And when I talk about free markets, I think that's what, unless you sort of are living and breathing the business, you may not feel that, yes, there is the potential for that. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to run a business, to earn a living. And at some point, again, I think with the free market system, that this is all going to work itself out, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, if you are if there's a little company out there that's having people write contracts to you for $250 a contract,
yeah, I'll represent you as a buyer for $250.
$250. I don't want them representing me as a buyer, because if they're getting paid $250, it's the same way that there are attorneys out there that I could hire for $1,000, attorneys that I hire for $10,000. I don't want to hire the attorney for $1,000. And when I say the free market, or what we're talking about, is you're putting a huge group of people into a bucket that they cannot buy a house. I mean, that's basically what you're saying. What I'm saying is the free market's not going to allow that. It is not.
Yeah, again, each week we like to feature some nice listings with the Minnesota real estate team. Sue Marty, Remax Advantage Plus, has got a great one in Shoreview, 4016 Wilshire Circle in Shoreview, 224.9. So under 225. It's a 2-bed, 1-bath townhome, 1,050 square feet. It's a 2-story. And Sue just mentioned that the first buyer, the financing fell through, so it's back on the market. And it appraised at 228 back in September of 2023. So it's listed under appraised value. It's freshly painted, newer appliances, and there's an open house today, Saturday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Price to sell, Sue said. And the last point that again is the square feet on this is 1,080. So a nice property, Scott, under 225.
Very nice. Sue's great too. I don't know if she's doing the open or not, but yeah, go out and check it out.
Yeah, again, 612-294-6949. Brad Sanford, Farmers Insurance. Every week we do like to have one of our partners from MN Real Estate Show who joins us on air talking about something related to the industry. Brad, save us from the commission discussion here.
I think this is the first time insurance is more interesting than real estate.
Right?
I doubt that. There was a survey taken in January, people that have auto and home insurance, and they were asking them, do you trust your carrier? What % of those people actually trust their carrier?
I would say 46%.
I'll say lower. I'll say 17% trust their carrier.
What, Ryan, is this the Price is Right? Because I think you would win because you're under.
You're under.
Area. The largest carrier in the nation, their loyalty rate is 21%.
21%.
That shocked me. I thought it would be more around the 46%, like Scott said, but yeah, 21. That's amazing.
Well, I think we were talking a little bit off air. I think insurance is similar to real estate in this, that real estate agents are just above car salesmen and right below attorneys for being in the trusted industry, which blew my mind because I frankly have not met many agents through the years that I would consider somebody unscrupulous. And that's basically what it's saying. And I think it's because the transactions are complicated. It's a big transaction, major part of their lives. And so if you buy something and then they lose money on it, well, my agent should have known that, or, this should have been told to me. So it's a lot of disinformation, I think, that then leads to maybe some distrust for some agents.
Hey, Brad, as we before we continue to dive in, we did have a text message question come in here that says, having sold our home in December of 2020, we paid our realtor and the realtor that brought our buyer. I questioned that, but was told that's how things are done. Is that what this new lawsuit is about? And if so, how could I benefit? In other words, it sounds like they said we paid our realtor and the realtor that brought our buyer. So it was a cooperating agent as well, Scott.
Yep, that's 99% of all transactions. I'm a listing agent, an agent with another boat broker, Coldwell Banker, Edina Realty, whatever, brings the buyer in. So that's how it happened. So her question is, she realized that she paid both commissions, and that's the misunderstanding. There's one commission. The commission of whatever that is, 6%, is to the listing company. So if it is Coldwell Banker and it's a 6% listing commission, that listing commission is the Coldwell Banker. They're selling your house for 6%. What they've said, for a benefit of my seller, I'm going to open it up to all these agents with their buyers so my seller can get more for their house. And if that happens, I agree to split my commission and pay this cooperating broker. Nothing's changed. It's the exact same thing, except lawyers got involved. And now we're dealing with this bunch of garbage.
Yeah, it is. Again, it's an interesting time. It's an interesting time. Appreciate the question. Brad, insurance-wise, you always got like a good guide or some good tips for us.
I just wanted to validate, everybody knows that their insurance rates are getting higher, right? Jerome Powell, who is the chair of the Federal Reserve, said that this economy is becoming increasingly uninsurable. The reason our rates are going so high is because the cost to fix a car, the cost to repair a home, and storms that come in and those kinds of things. So Jerome Powell is giving everybody the nod that, yeah, you're right. Insurance is higher, and it has a lot to do with the consumer price index and everything costing a lot more. But you know what I did bring? We doing it this segment or next segment?
Let's do it now, dude.
The homeowners quiz, right?
Nice.
Informational quiz.
Let's do it.
Yes, I think Ryan is 0 for 3. And I think you and Mike are 1 for 2. Oh, 3-0.
That's how I remember it. 3-0.
The first question, Mike's dog bites his neighbor as he fetches the newspaper from his driveway. Mike's homeowner's policy covers A, medical bills, B, medical bills and legal bills for a liability lawsuit against Mike, C, nothing, Mike doesn't like his neighbor because he attended NDSU, or the cost of a fence to keep Mike's dog out of the NDSU territory.
B.
I think A.
B is correct.
I know.
There you
why I
go.
said it.
You can see. You can see his sheet actually.
No,
Just kidding.
Cover your eyes. Second question. A plane's toilet crashes through Ryan's house, lodging into his beautiful granite countertop. Do you have granite countertops?
I don't believe we do. No.
And shattering his late 8th century Ming vase, which was a present from Scott. Ryan's policy will pay for A, repairs to the roof, B, nothing, C, repairs to the roof and the counter, as well as the 8th century Ming vase, or D, repairs to the roof and to the counter.
That's a tough one.
I would say nothing, because I would think that the airplane that let their potty, is that what it was, the toilet?
Yep.
Let their potty go, that the airline would be on the hook.
I'll say D, just to keep it interesting.
Interesting that you say that. The underlying policy of the airplane, your insurance company might go after, might subrogate. You give them the okay to do that. In this case, it's D, repairs to the roof and counter. Most policies will cover you for things falling onto your property, but they will not cover the Ming vase, which is well above your personal property coverage, unless you schedule that Ming vase.
Can we just say vase?
We can say Voss.
Good
They-
Voss.
Brad, what with everything going on in the world right now, and actually we are up against a break, so maybe we'll hit this after the break. Just want to talk about rates, what people are seeing with rates, costs, with insurance. Have had a lot of questions, just with kind of everything going on here in the world. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show again. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. Tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day. A happy early St. Patrick's Day to you all. We'll be back after the break. Your news, weather, traffic, and rates. What are we seeing with rates?
They're starting to settle off. They're starting to level, I guess I should say. And I think by the end of next year, we probably will see rates kind of flatten out. And I don't think they'll ever come back, but unless you change companies or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah. Again, it is kind of an interesting time with an insurance agent. It is similar to a real estate agent,
Very-
providing value.
Yep.
Knowing the business, knowing the contracts, reviewing policies. Some of the things. Maybe talk about what you do for customers.
So I talk to the customers about what they have at home, what is different from last year to this year. Did they buy anything? Did they have a kid? Those kinds of things. Make sure that they understand the policy. Go through all the phases of the policy to understand that their home is covered. But it's not just their home that's covered. It's the property inside that's covered. It's the liability if your dog does bite someone. If you do something, someone falls and they blame you because you didn't have carpet on the stairs, they slipped and broke their leg, or something like that. So understanding all of that, if your house does get demolished and you have to live somewhere else, you have coverage that you can live somewhere else and all of that. So it's basically going through everything with them and having them understand what the policy is.
Yeah, I encourage again. Thanks for so many people joining us here this morning. Reach out to Brad. Insurance related stuff. He's helped friends of mine, car policies, auto, obviously, or a home. Just a great guy. Awesome customer service. I can't encourage you to reach out enough to Brad. And Brad, you're working with people. Just Minnesota, is it?
I am licensed in Wisconsin also, so I do business in Wisconsin and Minnesota.
Okay. Yeah.
Across the river.
Across the river, indeed. Yeah, I wonder with some of these states, thinking of kind of the Floridas or some of these areas where there's been so much damage, a lot of carriers leaving the states. I don't know, what are people going to do?
That's so there's two different segments of insurance. There's a standard, what we call admitted,
Yeah.
and there's a non-admitted. And typically, the standard and the non-standard. The non-standard might insure your property, but it's going to be at a premium higher than what it normally would be. So the cost of owning a home is going to be a little bit more for those people.
Yeah, very nice. Again, hope your weekend's going well. St. Patrick's Day. Are you going to do something fun? It's on Sunday, Scott. You should do something. You got any plans?
Oh yeah, I've got a lot of plans because the players tournament is on. So I might sit in the middle cushion for most of the day, and I might shift a little bit to the left. Depends on where my dog's at.
You love golf.
Yeah, that's my.
Is that sawgrass?
That is a sawgrass.
Okay.
Yeah, TPC is this. Yeah, so it's a good one. So let's get into the question. We got 30 seconds before we're on air. So Brad, you do it first. What do people that really know you think is your most annoying characteristic? People that really know you.
That really know me, like my wife. What is really annoying? Wow.
You know what? Hold that because we're on in 10 seconds.
Yeah,
We'll ask it again.
Wow.
Hey, thanks again. This is our last break. We've got a few more minutes of the show. Hope your weekend's going well here. Thanks again for joining us today on WCCO, everybody. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your weekend is going well. We've had a fun discussion today. And before we get to Scott's question of the week, I just wanted to say, too, for all of our fellow agents listening, all of our fellow brokers, for buyers and sellers, I know there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of unrest. There's a lot of unknown. Perhaps I am naive, but I do believe everything's going to work itself out. We We are needed. Buyers, agents, listing agents are needed in today's world, helping people transact. Change is never fun. Change is never fun. But at the end of the day, as my dear father would say, Ryan, focus on what you can control. And what I can control is what I'm saying on the radio right now and how we treat people and what I do today. So, Scott, that's my deep thought from Ryan there,
Yeah,
my Irish thought.
I can say ditto to that whole thing, because that's exactly what and as real estate agents, everybody listening, they know this. We're an overacting group. I mean, I remember when we switched from punch lock boxes to electronic ones, and it was a 3-hour meeting, and I was like, get me out of this. But that's what agents do. They don't like change. So this is a big change, but everybody relax. It's going to be fine. Fun question of the week.
Yeah, what do you got? Something fun. Give us something fun.
What do people that really know you think is your most annoying characteristic? People that really know you, to the point where you say, you know what, I think I should work on this, and they're like, yes, you should work on that.
Okay, you got to start this, bud. Since
mine's easy.
Yeah, please tell us.
So both my ex-wives, if they're listening, they will both be nodding their head and laughing probably.
Yes.
So I am not detailed in my stories, and I'll tell you why. So if the story is last Wednesday, I took Brad to the diner, and somebody spilled a soup. Okay, if that's the story, and I'll say, yeah, a couple weeks ago, Brad and I were over at a diner somewhere in Minneapolis, and this guy dumped soup all over him. Okay, that's the story. My ex-wives will be, that wasn't last Wednesday, that was last Tuesday. And that wasn't soup, Scott. That was it's miserable.
So
Detail on things that don't matter.
But it's feedback for you.
But to them it matters. And so my point is, after the first one, I was like, well, she doesn't know what she's doing. But when the same exact thing came around with number 2, you got to say, hey, maybe it's me. so that is by far, I know they would say, my most annoying characteristic.
A little self-awareness never hurts sometimes. Brad, you got anything hot on the brain there, my friend?
I would think that my wife and my mom and dad would tell you that, and my kids might tell you that I'm always right.
Yeah, well, everybody's got to cross the bear. Everybody's got to cross the bear.
You're always right.
My height and extreme looks.
You're very
modest,
modest.
and you've got yours. Yes.
You're very modest.
They don't like my dad jokes, but I think maybe I always have an opinion.
Very good,
Scott. I should ask you what mine is. You know me.
Well, you know what yours is.
Yeah,
Everybody.
please tell me.
You don't listen. and for those people out there, they're like, "Oh my gosh, Scott was so." Ryan's a great listener. No, Ryan is an empathetic human being. But if you were on the phone with him and he's like, "Oh boy, yep, that's a bunch," that means he's not been listening to you for the last 30 seconds. End the phone call.
You're a great listener.
Oh boy, that's amazing. That means he's not heard anything you're saying.
Yeah, it is.
What would you say that
to be a good listener? Yeah, I think just continuing to stay straight focused on the item. I think it's easy for us to just get distracted if I get distracted with something.
Well, you're a squirrel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. You see something out of your right eye, and it's like, and that's what makes you you. I love you to death, but that would be your characteristic.
It's not your rosy outlook on everything.
Rosy outlook.
Is that?
Hey, you're being too rosy. Hey, last thoughts here, guys, before the end of the break. By the way, Brad Sanford, Farmers Insurance. He has helped friends of mine, family members, wonderful human being, a kind-hearted gentleman. Please reach out to him with any of your insurance questions. Brad, best way for people to connect with you, bud.
They can reach us at the Minnesota Real Estate Show.com online, or you can call me at 651-690-2076.
Scott, last thoughts there, buddy?
No, I'm like the under 5'8" Aaron Rodgers. Just relax. just relax, everybody. Everything is going to be fine. You're going to be successful in real estate if you currently are. This will work itself out. Let the brains and the attorneys get together, but trust me. Buyers are going to get to be represented, and sellers are going to be able to get the most for their house. Everything will be fine.
Yeah, it has been a fun show. And again, each Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., we're here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. If you are interested in investing in real estate, if you are a first-time home buyer, go to mnrealestateshow.com. We've got some great seminars in person in Bloomington, and we also stream those online on our Facebook page as well. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out. We're here to be a resource to help you make good, informed decisions, whether you're looking to buy or sell now, 6 months, a year from now. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. mnrealestateshow.com. Again, happy early St. Patrick's Day. Everybody is Irish here tomorrow. From an O'Neill to you all, have a great day. Take care. Thanks, guys, for watching. Thank you, Melissa. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us, Jen. Thanks for your kind comments. Others as well. I just want to be sure I got everybody's comments. Sometimes we can see your name, sometimes we can't. Pete Schrader, thank you, Pete. Joe Mack, thank you, Joe, Mr. Joe Mack. Jen, again, thank you so much. So again, sometimes we see your name, sometimes we can't. Under 5'8", Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Running for office?
Yeah. Relax, guys. We'll replay this show in July, and we'll see what happens. But it's going to be fun.
Nice job there, young man.
Thank you, sir. It was fun being with you.
Reach out to this guy, your insurance needs. Thank